Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Game Shot the Fall Bar. It's night 5 of the Betfred World Matchplay, and once again, here at Online Darts, myself, Jack Obigar, joined by the fabulous Mr. Lee Boys on the ground in the Winter Gardens as we talk through all of tonight's action. Mr. Boys, how are we?
Yes, not bad. You, mate?
I'm all right. I'm getting there. These days are bloody long, I tell you. Some late night.
Each day is warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer in that venue.
Absolutely, just praying for a thunderstorm to clear some of the air here, and it's just going to hit at the back end of the weekend. And it why can't you just do it while I'm at work? Yeah, that would be lovely for everybody. We can get into the gardens later. Nice clean atmosphere, and we'll be ready to go. Once again, massive hello, welcome to everybody in the chat room. I know you guys have been here a while. Sorry if we kept you late, but actually, according to the video, we've started on time tonight. We pushed it back a little bit, so you're not all waiting around going, where are they? Questioning if Lee's running along Blackpool Promenade to get ready for the show as he makes a mad dash back from the Winter Gardens in Blackpool. Don't forget to pop along and say hello. And as the sign on the screen said, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. Subscribers aren't going up a lot at the minute this week, which is surprising during a major. So what that means is that you guys need to press that button a bit more and share it around. Let your friends know. Late night, darting, chat nonsense with myself and Mr. Boyce. That's all the formalities out of the way, mate. Let's ease our way into the evening. 4 really, really good games. Maybe really, really good is an exaggeration for all 4. But it was a night that, before we even threw a dart, there was a lot of excitement building up around.
Yeah, when we were speaking about yesterday, there was 3 of the 4. I think we was talking about as being really close games. We got 3 out of 4, but not the 3 out of 4 I think we was expecting being as close as what there was. But we had a very, very good session. Probably one of the best. I keep saying that every night we seem to come on, seems to be something happen, whether it be, the fans participate, the darts that we've seen, or yesterday was with the big fish. But it was a top session of darts tonight. The end died off a little bit, but overall very good. Considering we're here at now 10 to 12 in Blackpool time, we'll say, it shows that it was a very good session.
I mean, it's very easy to say this, sat here at the end of the night after the games have been on, but looking at the fixtures, looking at the last couple of weeks, every man and his dog could probably have predicted that the 2 closer games, the 2 slightly more interesting games, would have been the first 2 games, yet they weren't in the prime time slots once the crowd had built themselves up, because Marco Van Gogh and Peter Wright found themselves in this on today's action as well. So they picked up that mantle, if you like.
Yeah, it's probably hard to say with the Peter Wright Joe Cullen game, because if Peter Wright Joe Cullen wasn't one of the last 2, I know it didn't pan out that way, but you would expect Peter Wright and Joe Cullen to be either the 3rd or 4th game of the night. But there's certainly arguments that one of the other games should have moved down, potentially. As we were saying yesterday, potentially the 1st game of the night, because it had so much.
It did have so much. It had so much. It had extra legs. It has happened. We got there. We've got a game. Honestly, I felt like this time last year we were sat here chatting about the match, and every single night, every single daily pod, and then on the Monday live lounge afterwards, we sat here and absolutely slated the decision to remove the 2 clear legs rule, because every game seemed to be a 10-9. It was ridiculous the amount of being settled by the single leg margin, and we prayed for it to come back, and we've seen it once, but what a game it was that we've seen it come back. Michael Smith 13, Jose de Souza 11. The bully boy absolutely loves the World Matchplay.
Not only did we have extra legs, we also had an extra break that I think a lot of people in the fans were not expecting the break after leg 20. However, it was that warm that it did deserve a break to that stage. But I'm not sure when that was decided, if that's something that was decided before the all of the round 2 games. I'm assuming it would be, but it was a very surprise for all of us that were inside there watching it, because we didn't see it coming. I don't know about you watching at home, Dob, if that was the same.
Yeah, I can't tell you who or when. that was decided, but it was a horrible, horrible decision. What an abominable time to have a break in between the game. Completely disrupted the rhythm, I think. But let's talk about the game in depth then. As expected, Jose de Sousa with the most 180s. He fires in 9 of the buggers in 24 legs. 44% checkout on the doubles and a 97 average, but that wasn't enough as Bully Boy wins 13-11, as I've mentioned already. He had 780s of his own, 41% on the doubles, 13 out of 31. Bit nip and tuck all the way, but let's jump right into the deep end, basically. We're already in extra legs when the most important moment of the game happened. Jose leads 11-10. He finds himself on 12. He's just missed the double 12 inside. Bully Boy returning for 108. Steps up with the biggest cojones we've seen in the tournament so far to take out the ton plus checkout, save his skin, and 2 legs later win the match.
It was very weird. Just touch back on that break. When it went to that break, because I didn't know that was coming, I thought Michael Smith has now won this game because he levelled things back up at 10-10. He had momentum. Then when the break happened, Jose, then I thought Jose's now got advantage of then, went 11-10 up. That checkout, for me, they might as well have said Dame set a match because something happened with Jose at the back end of the legs, not just after the third break, but just before it. And we didn't see the Jose that we've seen, and he dropped off for a few legs. And to be honest, fair play for Michael Smith because that finish was what won him the game for me. That coming back into it was what won him the game.
It wasn't, well, it was a catch off it. It wasn't dropping down to a 60 average by any standard from Jose de Sousa, but this is the first time in a long time, if ever, since he's picked up the titles he has, that we've seen a game this tight in front of a crowd. Like, he played pretty well in round 1, was very, very comfortable at Gabriel Clemens. This time, he got a little bit tight, a little bit edgy in the heat in front of the crowd. This is sort of the back-end performance that a lot of people were expecting from Jose in round 1. It's just coming round 2 against an opponent that you can't afford for it to happen against. Yeah,
and I had a lot at 8-7, and Jose and Michael Smith were both 50% on the doubles at that stage, but Jose was averaging 101. He's finished on 98, and for that to happen then after already playing 15 legs of darts, that must have dropped to low 90s for him to finish on around 98, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Low to mid 90s for that to drop so much. So it just showed that he did dip off, and I'm sure you mentioned it a few nights ago that it is something that we might see with Jose. I was surprised to see, but like I says, before the interval, I only see Michael Smith winning 12-10 because we didn't know that was coming, but then it went afterwards. And fair play to Bully Boy. Fair play to both players, but it's very good to see Bully Boy finishing very well. It was over 50% in the first game, around in the 40s this time. The only thing that I've seen is what he's played. I did note it down earlier. 41 legs of darts that Michael Smith has been involved in, and only 7 180s.
He didn't hit one in the entire first round, did he? And that was the big surprise. To turn around and fire in 7 in a match. Okay, it's not the 9 that Jose hit, it's not the 14 that Dimitri hit, but it's still a very, very good return. It's a return to the power. So he's 32 tons, 22 140s, 7 180s. The just sheer consistency of Bully Boy tonight, nice and straight in that treble bed, constantly in every single leg.
Yeah, it's just, if you look at, if we're going to speak about Michael Smith, before the tournament, we were expecting loads and loads of 180s. We're expecting quite a few missed doubles, probably to be in the late 30s as a tournament sort of average, 40% tournament average. But for him to be where he's now on he's doubling, his 140s and 100s there, I'm sure he would take it. Obviously, when we go into the London format now, he will need to up that 180 stat. But fair play to Bully Boy. He wasn't tipped by many to push on, especially in the quarter that he was in. So fair play to Michael Smith for
that. He was very vocal about that in his last press conference. Let's hear what he had to say for himself this time after booking his spot in the quarterfinals at the Betfred World Matchplay.
Everyone ripped me off, and you sometimes you can do it and sometimes you can't. And I was like, this tournament has been really good to me the last 2 years. I know I didn't have the best semis last year against Anderson, but I was like, it's a tournament that I used to go first round, second round, first round. The last 2 years, finals, semis. And I was like, no one's beating me. You can write me off all you want. I was supposed to get smashed off, so I was supposed to get smashed tonight. You're still asking me these questions, so it means I'm still in, I'm still fighting, I'm still wanting to win, and I'm showing this game doesn't get boring to me. I want everything, and I'm showing it on the stage as well.
Just like the temperature in the country, the interviews, the comments flying around from the players are starting to heat up. Ali, we say this every night at a minute as the interviews keep getting better and better. But I am here for it. Evening, Craig. Hope you enjoyed your trip to the Empress Ballroom tonight. Just a quick reminder that all of the interviews that we collect for the post-game matches tonight will be on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to head over to that after we finish. Drop a like on each of them for us as well. Drop a comment if you see anything that you want to talk about. And subscribe to the channel as well. He's earning the right to be in the quarterfinals. He knows he needs a dominant performance in a game to convince me. Possibly, but you'll take it. Rob Cross was not dominant at all, and he picked up this title a couple of years ago. He won that with his B game, so I'm sure Michael Smith would absolutely bite your hand off for the same opportunity. On to game number 2. I thought I was watching a new Love Island bromance at times because these two absolutely adore each other. But Nathan Aspinall beats his idol once again, 11-9, getting over the line against the Flying Scotsman, Gary Anderson Lee.
Yeah, the end of that game was was where it all happened. We saw such a great first game, and then Nathan Aspinall with his first 3 darts stood 15, and I was thinking, oh no, we're coming back down to earth. What's going to happen here? But the game just progressively got better and better, and what we saw at the end is there was opportunities for Anderson. He broke Aspinall in his last 3 throws that Aspinall had. There was 6 breaks to end the game, so there was chances there for Anderson to do it, but a lot of credit has dotted to Aspinall. The fans edged towards Aspinall, but I would say there was still a lot of support in the room, as there always is for Gary Anderson, and there always will be. But as we get further and further in tournaments, and like we saw as the days progressed in the Premier League, Nathan Aspinall is fast becoming a fan's favourite when it comes to being in the arena.
Well, he walks on to one of the most popular songs in British culture history. That song has literally never, ever dropped out of the top 100 songs, weekly sales ever. It's a ridiculous record that Mr. Brightside has. I want to see it. Well, actually, no, let's see the early legs. Gano didn't really turn up, did he? Let's be honest. I'm not sure if that was the change to the different darts. His scoring seemed to struggle for a bit. He allowed Nathan to control the game in the early phase.
Yeah, he did. He allowed him to control it, and like I says, that battle of a game, and the game progressed into a better one because of Gary Anderson, I think. Because if it was done the way it started, you was only going to see one winner in a convincing way, which would have been the Asp. Because we've seen Gary Anderson fight back, and we'd seen a lot better performance from Gary Anderson, like I says, he had them opportunities. Not saying to win the game, but potentially take it into additional leads. And if it was Nadal Winter London, we probably still won't be sat here yet if we saw many of them tonight. So it's not a bad thing that it wasn't. But like I says, yeah, it was a game that progressed. It was a slow start, and I don't know if that was to do with how good the first game was. That obviously your expectations are so high because of the darts you've just seen. But overall, it was a very good game, and fair play to Aspinall. How far can that man go?
How far indeed. Let's jump ahead. Gary did find his way back into the game. It started going a little bit close, but the key moments, the last few legs, the checkout opportunities just seemed ridiculous. It seemed like every leg, one of the players was having a shot for a ton plus to just stick a knife straight through the heart of their opponent. Gary Anderson landed the first big one, the 149 checkout, after not knowing what double he needed to lead, which I found absolutely laughable and astonishing. And I was convinced that pause was going to hurt him. Following leg, he misses the 8-8 for the 136. And that's where Aspinall won the game for me, because he fires in a 117 of his own to stop the game from going. I think it would have been level.
Yeah, on that 149, not only did he stop and he didn't know what he'd left, the amount of time it took him to get the answer from the ref and hit that double must have been less than a second. it was like told, boom, it was done. It was so good. There's literally, he stopped for about 10 seconds, thought about it, asked, and then it went. But yeah, the 1-3 sit was a big miss. It's obviously the 2 treble 20 sat very nicely, and then for me, sat there after he took out that before you thought it was going. And Aspinall stepped in and punished that. But like says, if of the games we've seen tonight, to watch those last 6, maybe 8 legs of that game was a very, very top standard because of the check-out opportunities that each player had, and either how close they were, or, as you said, the Anderson one that dropped in.
Because it's not even as if the legs were scoring badly. I mean, Aspinall won the match on an 11 dart leg before Gary's at 15, and he's 2-3 darts at doubling that one. Like, it was still a good match all around, but the checkouts just were ridiculous what they were going for. Yeah,
they were. And like it says, it puts Aspinall in a very, very good stead for his next game, and obviously we'll talk about that game and his opponent more tomorrow night when we are previewing that one coming up. But it certainly puts him in a good position. And like it says, one thing I've noticed this week is the fans' influence, and I think that Nathan Aspinall, whoever he plays, will potentially be backed all the way if he gets that far.
Yeah, right. You know what time's coming now. Let's hear from Nathan Aspinall in his post-match conference with the Ginger Ninja, Mr. Phil Bowers.
But that's Nathan Aspinall.
Unreal. That's what I played darts for. You know what I mean? As a kid, you grow up, you want to play in the biggest tournaments on the biggest stage in front of big crowds, and if you do something special, you want to celebrate. You want to give it the big one. And that 117 was absolutely massive. And yeah, that reaction, that takes me back to 3 years ago when I beat Gezi in the second round, and I'm jumping around and all the arms are going. But what a shot, credit where credit's due. I'm going to blow smoke at my own backside. Fantastic shot, and that won me the game in the end.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah, I love that. The amount of robots you get in sport nowadays, it's like, oh yeah, I just did my job, blah, blah. To come out and say that is brilliant. And also, I'm not sure if it would have 100% been on his mind, but planting that seed that he's beaten Gezi here before as well, early bit of mind games while he's laughing it off something else, I think, because that potential matchup edges ever closer, just potentially 2 games away from that one, because I think they would meet in the final.
Yep.
They would.
Yep.
Okay, on to game number 3 then. The scoreline makes this game look a little bit closer than it actually was. And even then, I mean, it's 100 average for Michael Van Gogh as he beats Ian White 11-8. But it just never felt that great at any point, did it?
No, and it's the standard that MVG sets, that unless he's hitting probably 105 plus, we're always looking at MVG and thinking could be more from him. A lot of credit, first of all, must go to Ian White, because I didn't see him coming through his first round game, and to push MVG, I'm never sure he looked like he was going to beat MVG, but to push MVG where he has done tonight, a lot of credit must go there. But MVG, there's just certain things you're looking at in his game, because I think we always overanalyze him because of how good he is, and that's the thing with it. His average, I think it was, I haven't got it in front of me, but I believe it was around 97 in round 1 he averaged, and then 100 in round 2. And if I didn't see them and I was just talking about it, I'd say MVG's not playing well. Yeah. But they're not bad scores, especially now the legs of the format's going to extend. And with that extending, if he's hitting those numbers, he's going to be in for a potential long run.
Yeah, I mean, 100 average in this one, 40% on the doubles, 97 average in round 1. It's consistent, and he's working that base level up. The thing with Michael Van Gogh over the last few years, especially when he was on his dominant run, was in every single game, he seemed to do something special. He seemed to do something that would absolutely break the heart of your opponent. He'd shut down, come back at the earliest opportunity. You'd have to go and play your very, very best dart to get anywhere near him. Ian White, for large parts of this game, was 10 points down on the average and still got to within 3 legs. We said in round 1 that he was still a bit vulnerable. I'm going to go early on this question. Can Van Gerwen win this title with the players that are left? Because there is only one non-seeded player left in this field.
It can, because the longer the Dames go, the more it suits him. And like we said, if he averages 100 in a best of 31 game, it's going to be very, very hard to beat anyone who averages that or north of that anyway. The one for me was I was having a look at the first two Dames, and just trying to pick out some stats because, like I said, he's averaging okay, or okay for MVG, I should say. The fact he's missed 29 darts at a double across the 2 Dames is the one stat that I'm pulling out of why the average is where it is, and it's not higher or he's not performing better. It's just that it's that one thing with Michael Van Gerwen that we are, and I know Jarlath's made his one comment post on the screen, as we always see tonight, that he has made 100 average. That's exactly what he has done. But that's the one stat that I looking at all of them, was that double missing, where it's not the thing with MVG. Like it says, the odd 1 or 2, but there was times then today where he's missing 3 at a double, and there was times in the first round where that happened, and that's not what we used to.
Yeah, completely agree. Right, let's hear from the Green Machine himself then, as he booked his spot in the quarterfinals.
I will put that right. Don't get. I like Nathan a lot, but he also knows I'm coming for him, and I will do anything in my power to make it him as hard as possible. And I feel good. I feel comfortable, and I know I can create some damage against him. And he knows what I'm capable of, but I need to make sure the right focus is on again, same as it was today.
Green Machine there. Earlier on in the day, actually upstaged our very own Phil Bars, sneaking up on him as he did his preview. He's going to have to upstage a few more players if he is going to lift the Phil Taylor Trophy come the end of the week. On to the final game tonight then. Arguably, this is going to get lost a bit because Peter Wright has just thrown the best average of the tournament so far, 105.46, 7 from 20 on the doubles, 7 180s, 2 ton plus checkouts, 4 snake bite in an 11-5 victory over Joe Cullen. But because Cullen was just not really at the races tonight, just a 90 average from it and 5 out of 10 on the doubles, the strength of that performance from Wright is going to get lost a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We spoke yesterday when we was previewing it about how much did the first round Dame of Joe Cullen take out of him. It seemed like it took quite a lot out of him. One thing I noticed a lot with his darts today is a lot of his first darts were dropping quite low, not just below the treble. Some of them were at quite a distance. And then looking at his scoring stats, that it only hit 7 scores of 140 or more, with 4 of those 140 plus and then 3 180s. That's not Joe Cullen. So it just must be that first round took a lot out of him. But with Peter Wright, as you said, it does hide away because it was such a bit of a stroll in the park, I guess.
Yeah.
For Peter Wright. But he's certainly playing himself into some sort of form, winning the last Super Series event, hitting a 105 in this game. He's sort of, I don't want to say down under the radar. It's very weird listening to all the interviews we've listened to so far, and no one's mentioned his name because all week they always have done. So it's very strange.
Joe did. Joe mentioned his name in advance, didn't he?
Yeah, no one has done to noise. I mean, no one, the few we've heard tonight, no one's mentioned them just yet. So he hasn't wound everyone up.
There's still time. I'm sure he will be in the comments tomorrow night, as he just has this ability to wind people up ridiculously. Look, it's Peter Wright, so of course we're going to talk about equipment. He's made 105 average look pedestrian, and then he stood on that stage at the end of the match in his interview saying he's still not sure about the darts, wasn't sure they were going through the air correctly because it was so hot. The thing with me is he's thrown these darts for the last last day of the Pro Tour, first round and second round, the consistency the man can produce, if he just sticks with one bloody style, is so good, yet he keeps on changing.
It's hard to criticise him because, yes, he keeps changing.
He pulls it off every time, doesn't he?
He pulls it off. He pulls it off 9 times out of 10, and the 1 time out of 10 he doesn't, we're all sitting here, and there's a reason we're sitting here. We're all sitting here doing, shouldn't be doing that. But then if he changes it then for the quarterfinal, I still wouldn't be surprised if he didn't hit the numbers of them, because it is Peter Rice and it's what he does. It's just
going to happen numbers as well. We do have to talk about it in the next round.
Yeah, we do have to talk about it because it is Peter Rice, and it's a talking point whether he averages 105 or 90. It's always down to be a talking point of him changing darts. I would like to think, and I keep saying it, I would like to think he'll stick with these darts, because as much as he's unsure how they're flying through the air, if you're averaging 105, trust me on this one, they're flying okay.
I don't care how they're going through the air. They're going in the board where you want them to. Keep doing it. My prediction that he will win the match play from Monday Night's Live Lounge will come true. Let's hear from Peter. Then the last man that we have an interview clip for you tonight. A quick reminder, everything is over on our YouTube channel to listen to in full. But this is Snakey in his post-match press conference.
Yeah, it's been very hard. It's she's had 2 back surgeries. Lots of money paid out just to try and get her pain-free, and it's been horrible. You saw me against Jose in the Premier League. I didn't even want to go out. I was in tears in the back room because she was going down to London on her own to have an injection in her spine that could have potentially put her in a wheelchair. And I should have been with her instead of playing darts in the Premier League. And that's sorry for all the guys who had, or whoever had a bet on me, whatever. But that was just, I didn't, my mind and everything wasn't there, even though I tried, even though I did have 180 in that game, but it's looking like good news. So fingers crossed, and obviously when the drugs wear off, and we'll see.
Not the joyous interviews that we've seen for the rest of the night, but an important message from Snakey as well. You can obviously see how much his wife is important to him. She travels to pretty much every event. She's his hairstylist as well as his partner. And all of us here at Online Darts wish Joe a speedy recovery. And while I'm at it, if you've got a spare couple of £100 to sort my back out, Peter, I really would appreciate it, because I've had that since March, and I'd love to get back playing football. So yeah, win a match play, chuck me a couple of £100. Thank you very much. Job done. On to tomorrow night then, mate. Just the 2 games tomorrow, which hopefully means that we might be sat here doing this at a more reasonable hour. Obviously, that makes absolutely no difference to you guys if you're listening to this back as a pod throughout the day. But if you are watching with us live on YouTube, thank you very much once again. Keep your comments coming in. Jar people flashing up on screen. Let's talk then about the biggest opportunity 2 players are possibly going to have to make a major TV semi-final. Krzysztof Ratajski takes on Callan Ridge for that semi-final spot. Lee, how do you see this one going?
How well Ratajski's playing, it's hard to bat against him. I don't expect him to hit the numbers he's been hitting. His tournament average is around that 100 mark. But I think I've written Callan Ridge off from the last time. I'm going to write him off of then. I hope he proves me wrong, if I'm being honest. I hope he proves me wrong. But I am going to go for Ratajski 16-10.
You've done that a couple of times now, haven't you? You've written players off. There are people in the chat room absolutely praying that when we talk about Michael Smith's next round, you're backing whoever he is playing again. And a Michael Smith fan wants you to keep writing him off as well. Reminder to everyone, this is a best of 31 now as hit the quarterfinal. So we go from 10 to 11 to first to 16, potentially more, as 2 clear still in play, I believe. I'm with you on this one, though. I think the extra distance, the sheer consistency of Ratajski, he is not fake. He can have a bad session, he can switch it back on again. The crowd will be on Callum's side. I've absolutely no doubt about that. But it's just very, very big moments, and I think Christoph will have the edge in this. He's a ridiculously strong competitor. I'm going to go.
Go on, mate.
16-9 is my score prediction.
All I was going to touch upon there are very good points about the fans being on Callum's side, and I expect that. The thing we'll see is if we see 10-10 at the time, it could have a massive influence on the end of that game. I just expect when we get to 20 leads that Ratai still be in front, that the fans won't have as big an influence on that game that they could do. If Ridston keep it level after 20 or 11-9 maybe, then I think it could have an impact and Ridston push him all the way. But if Ratai still get an early lead, it could till off what sort of fan participation we have in that game. And that's why I think we're both thinking the same on Ratai Steen, how well he's playing.
Yeah, look, if he's within striking distance, absolutely no doubt that crowd can be the deciding factor to push him on, as long as it is just a push. I cannot emphasise this enough. If you are in the crowd, no whistling, no putting Ratajski off, just back your man. That's all we want to see. None of this other rubbish. We spoke about it after the Luke Humphreys game the other night. We spoke about it, and God knows how many times about European tours in the last few years. Everybody knows how much I love the German and Dutch crowds when they get into it. Just back your man. That's all that Dutch needs. We don't want to be dragged into the mud with any of the sports where abusing players and deliberately putting them off is something that is seen in the game. The opposite end, I moaned earlier about the order of play tonight. I don't think they've got tomorrow wrong, because the second game sees the reigning champion, Dimitri Vandenberg, a man who hit 14 180s in round 2 against the reigning world number 1, the reigning world champion, Gerwyn Price. Lee, this genuinely, we've said this a lot this week, but no matter what happens to the rest of the tournament, this could be the best game of the tournament.
Yeah, it could. And I think when we spoke about potential best games, it's relied on one player. If that one player turns up, i.e. if Michael Smith turned up today, that Jose game was so good. Joe Cullen turned up today, that Joe Cullen Peter Wright was so good when we seen it with one game and not with the other. For me, if we get a Dimmy performance, potentially not even to the level he played the other night, because 103 over that format is going to be very difficult, but we see a similar type of performance, then that could be something very special. And once then, the more that goes on, the more that people are going to be batting Dimmy. Let's be honest, as soon as Price walks out, he's going to be booed on the Wharton. And then it's how close that game becomes, because after, 9 leads maybe against Johnny Clayton, the boos went because Price had already got that game in the bag. It's going to be a very, very interesting game. It is going to be very close. And I wish you would have said first, because I'm very much finding this one a hard one at all. Because if you'd have asked me at the start of the week and this was a Derwin Price Dimmy quarter final, I would have backed Derwin Price around 16-12, 16-13. Because of how well Dimmy played against Chizzy, it is a very, very hard one to pick. I'm going to edge towards Price. And we're going to have we're going to have an extra lead. I'm going to go 17-15 Derwin Price.
32 legs of these two, absolutely lumping the living daylights out of each other. Look, I think the crowd again is a very important thing to draw here. Johnny Clayton for me was very subdued in his performance, a little bit too much respect. Dimitri is a similar character to Johnny, I think, when he's on the hockey, but for such a young man who, I'll be honest, I've given a little bit of criticism to in the past, he is so calm. He's got such a good head on him when he's actually on that stage that I don't think the reactions from Price will get to him as much as it did Johnny, which makes the game a lot closer. That being said, Dimmy's played very well this week, but he's still missed handfuls of doubles at the complete wrong moment, right? And I think that's the key. And I think Gezi does him because of that. I'm going to go 16-12 to Price. You're not on tomorrow, are you?
Yes. I am on tomorrow.
Okay. I was going to let you have a chance to predict the other quarterfinal as well, just in case you weren't. But because you're not, bugger that, we can leave that until tomorrow because I've actually got something to talk about then as well. Because hopefully this show will be a lot earlier, currently 20 past midnight. I'm for some sleep. You know what time it is? It's time to say goodnight then, folks. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat room once again. Thank you very much to Lee for joining us. Thank you to Jar in the background for producing, Phil for collecting all the interviews. Reminder, all those interviews are over on our YouTube channel. Head over there in the next couple of minutes. Give those a couple of watch. Click on that like button, please. And please do subscribe to the channel as well. It helps us keep growing massively and we can keep producing. A few people asking about merchandise when we're doing the live lounge as well. We've got a meeting about that next week, hopefully, so we can start bringing that to you guys too. Massive thank you to all the sponsors on the screen, to Modus, Red Dragon, Winmar, but in particular, the title sponsors for the World Matchplay, Betfred, for making all this possible this week. They've been absolutely brilliant to work with. Thank you very much to you guys in the chat room. If you're watching live on YouTube as we're recording this live, thanks to anybody that's downloaded this as a podcast as well. And yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching, guys. And we will speak to you all again this time tomorrow night when we will know the first two semi-finalists at the Betfred World Matchplay.